Hi everybody. Wow. When I started reading John Hill's Facebook page this morning, I did not expect to talk about this controversial topic. So a person wrote into John Hill, and I'm going to read it verbatim here, okay? So asking what Carnival's policy is on allowing parents to smack their children in full view of the rest of us eating dinner in a restaurant on the Carnival Mardi Gras. Last week, myself and my partner were enjoying dinner in the Italian restaurant. We witnessed a mom slapping the back of her children's legs 3 times. He could not have been much older than 6 or 7 years old. The crew serving us did nothing to stop her. I know you are old, John Hill. I know before I even read any reply you give me that it will probably include words such as, I was slapped as a child, because this was acceptable in previous decades. It certainly is not acceptable now, not in America, and not in public view. The thing that stands out clearly to me was this mom hit her child out of frustration or anger. Hitting a child isn't about administration of justice. Normally, it's nothing more than venting. Carnival's crew should have stopped it, asking the parents to leave the restaurant. At the very least, they should have called security to do so. Why was nothing done, John? Wow. Talking about hitting a child, 6 or 7 years old, on the back of the legs, and then disciplining of parents. And I am thinking in my head, before I read the rest of this story, John Hill's age, John Hill's upbringing, and his sense of humor and what his mind normally goes to. He's usually pretty, quick with his wit and things like that. And he's quite often of an opinion that mostly I'm on board with, and sometimes I disagree. But that has been a thing in my head for a long time, of the change that we did when we were growing up, and of, spanking a child or, hitting a child. Now you take something away in a timeout and all this, the different aspects of raising children. And I didn't think this topic would ever come up on a cruising video, but John Hill did respond, and let's see what he said. He said, "Thank you. This is a subject that will divide opinion. No kidding. Now, if, as you described, the mother slapped the child 2 or 3 times on the back of his leg, then there is nothing the crew to do. This is between the parent and the child. It is not expected for the person serving you spaghetti carbonara top to tell the mom not to smack her children, just as I am sure it would not be expected for a waiter in a restaurant on land to do so either. If it had escalated, then yes, of course, the crew would have protected the child, but as you described the incidents, absolutely not their place to do so. In my opinion," here's where it goes, folks, "my personal opinion is that, yes, I was smacked as a child, but only after my parents gave me a chance after chance after chance. They didn't have a naughty step to put me on. The iPhone and the internet had not been invented, so they couldn't just take this from me. And so it was a quick smack on the back of the leg, and I learned my lesson. Not these days. Here in the UK, I cannot speak for other countries, children are not disciplined for the most part." And then he goes on to say, "As a result, crime is now at unimaginable levels. Many activists with blue hair," oh my God, John, you're looking for trouble, "persist. Disciplining children is wrong, but sometimes I wonder if they will ever admit they got it horribly wrong." Wow. Calling out parents these days, especially more modern parents, on a Facebook page about cruising. But I've often thought this, because I was often threatened. Spanking was alive and well. In fact, when I was in elementary school, they still used a ruler on our hands. That's how old I am. And of course, all that changed when public outcry of the day was that's child abuse and things like that. But I grew up pretty straight-laced. I never did drugs, never got drunk, never got in trouble at school, never, lots of friends, grew up pretty well. And to tell you the truth, I had never been spanked in my life. My parents were, especially my dad, miss my parents every day. But my dad was the king of getting me to do what he wanted. And he would do this, make me behave by making me feel guilty. And, if I kind of did something that was a little bit, that's kind of crossing the line a little bit, Don, he would just kind of just talk to me, look at me like this and say, pretty disappointed. And he would just leave it at that. And there was nothing more devastating to me than disappointing my parents. Because I respected my parents back then. And back then you couldn't call social services on your parents. They would just laugh in your face. Police would come to the door and arrest you before they would arrest your parents. So, but I had such respect for my mother and father that just making that threat, that I just disappointed them, just kept me in line. And I never got in trouble. I never got in any of that kind of stuff. I was rambunctious. I went and did things. I would stay out overnight, a little too late sometimes, but I never got in trouble doing it. It was all innocent when I did it. I didn't go out and get drunk or high or drunk driving or anything like that. I just stayed at a friend's overnight, and I should have gotten back earlier. And they just, disappointed. Now, did I ever smack my children? I think I remember hitting my daughter on the bum once. And it was because she did something that endangered another kid that was with us when we were at a cottage, where that person could have been so injured, could have scarred them for life. And that was it. It was a one-time thing and a one-time smack on the butt, and that was it. I think my daughter's doing pretty well. She's a nurse. She went back to school, educated herself. She's married with 2 kids. She's doing pretty darn good. So I don't know. I've honestly thought to myself, have we always gone too far in the other direction, right? In everything we do. We always say, we got to do this to help in this situation and stuff like that. And then we go overboard in that situation, right? Where it's too far on the other side, right? The left and the right. Well, we're on the right now, and now we gotta bring it more back to the left, and then we go overboard on the left. And then when you say, we're way too far on the left, now we gotta bring it back to the right, way overboard on the right. We always do the over access thing and go way over what is just common sense and expected. Should you hit your child every day? No. Should you smack them in the face and things like that? No. But in all honesty, I think he's a little bit right when you think of how many children out there now have anxiety attacks, how many children out there now cannot cope in the outside world, have no idea how to interact with people who are more along the lines of, I don't know what to say. Like, do they have a good work ethic anymore and things like that? I don't know. I lived that when I was a manager at a company. I would have all these older guys come in their 30s and 40s, and they're just dying. They needed work. They needed a job, and they'd go in and do their work. And then I'd have these 18-year-old, 19-year-old guys come in, and they'd last a day because, I'm not going to work. I'm not going to lug boxes all in a hot trailer in the middle of the summer. for this kind of money, or they expect to be the boss in 3 weeks. You know, I just had that situation, and I often wonder if it's just because of the way we now raise our kids, where it's all about timeouts and taking your iPhone away and, you know, kowtowing to your children more than having them do what you think is right for your child. I don't know. It's a hard situation. I grew up in a different generation. Younger people, my daughter's in a different generation. My grandkids will be a whole new different generation. My dad, completely different generation, even than what I grew up in. And I think we all have our faults and we all have our others, but I don't know. And no, as far as I'm concerned, a restaurant waiter is not the person to be doing that. And if you're in a restaurant and you think it's outlandish for somebody to slap the back of a leg of a child, and you're wondering why the crew didn't do anything, if you think it's that bad, here's my question: why didn't you do anything?